But I think at the time that we went to school here was one of the most wonderful times in history, certainly in the history of our lives. People in this town at that time cared about what other people were doing, and they looked after us. And if any of us was stupid enough to get in trouble, our parents and everyone else knew it just as fast as they could pass the word. And the day I started school, Dad said, if you ever get your ass tanned in school, you're going to get one twice as bad when you get home. And I knew he was going to keep his word. So that's a deterrent also.
Well, you ought to try going to school for your own mother.
I know that.
A year and a half. As I said earlier, my mom stepped in for lack of a teacher down there. Finished out that year and taught one more year. The most miserable year and a half.
I don't know about that because I never went to school you much. But I do have a picture here of that Mrs. Bombard in the 1946 school picture.
Do you want to hand these? Do you want to hand these? Are we done telling stories? I got one more story to tell.
Well, let's have it.
No, you're not done.
No, more story. I'm curious, when you went to those baseball games up in Troy, how did you get there?
How did we get there?
Or maybe how'd you get home?
School bus.
Yeah.
You did, yeah.
Generally, although there were times when we went
Bill Fire takes us.
private cars.
Yeah, sometimes we go in cars.
Baseball team, we always went. The principal would be the coach, of course. We didn't have separate athletic directors and so forth. The principal would be the coach, and he would borrow the bus from Irvin Martin, the local.
When you went to school to your mother, what did you call her from class? You know.
What was that question?
What'd you call your
What'd you call her? Did you call your mother, or did you say Mrs., or how did you deal with that?
Try not to talk to her.
There's our 7th, 8th grade picture, 1950.
Before Everitt starts passing out pictures, you want to hear any more stories?
Why did the Bailey brothers fight?
Oh, it was just a big family, part of it.
They just...
Him and I.
Some things don't change.
It was their nature.
Some things don't change in North Wolcott.
So how many of you people here can remember the first thing you learned when you went to school? The first thing you learned
Oh, my.
when you went to school. There's two over there, Ken.
Let the ball roll.
He can.
Not to talk
Let
back.
the ball roll.
That's too complicated.
I'm going to tell you the first thing I learned when I went to school. If you want me to.
Yeah.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this what you were in kindergarten? Is that what you're saying? How old were you when you're?
Here's how my story starts. 1944, my brother Jim, brother Larry, September comes off to go to school. Mom, I want to go to school. You can't go to school. You aren't big enough. You aren't old enough. But I'm almost as big as he is, but you can't go. You gotta wait till 6. Okay. They go to school. This is in September. In the middle of the winter. Beautiful winter day. Mom's doing the wash in the kitchen. Sister's there. Jim comes home from school. You can all hear me, right? Jim comes home from school. Hey, I learned something in school today. I want me to show you. Yes, things are looking up. I ain't got to go to school. My brother's going to teach me. He knows how this is going to go. Our parents were wonderful parents. We had this nice bedroom upstairs and big, long windows where my brother Jim lives. Nice, big, tall curtains in the windows. A nice, feather-tipped bed. Couldn't ask for anything more. A room all ourselves. We could do anything we wanted. So Jim says, all right, meet me up in the bedroom. He sneaks by her mother. I think, what the heck's he doing? So he goes in the kitchen. Up the stairs he comes. He knows what's going to happen. He has a box of matches.
Oh, no.
A box of matches. So he says, here's what I learned in school today. He says, I learned how to light a match. He says, you want to try it? I said, well, yeah, my brother stepped right up to the plate here. He's going to teach me. Of course I want to try it. Well, my brother Jim was always neat. He had this nice metal waste basket with his school papers in it. So I lit the match, and yeah, that's pretty cool. Of course, it's burning. James is burning my finger. Drop it, you dummy. I dropped it, and guess where it landed? Right in that basket with all the school papers in it. Yay, don't hurt anymore. End of story, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, what's that smell? What's that smoke? The basket's on fire. Well, we'll get that out. Him and I begin kicking it, because it goes to the long curtains by the windows. The curtains are on fire. Kicked it from that one to that one. I kicked it again, it goes to the bed. The bed's on fire. Jim, we gotta do something. He says, yeah, run down and tell your mother. I ain't gonna go tell her. I said, well, you lit the match. I said, yeah, but I wouldn't have lit it because you're the one that made me do it. So you lit the match, you go tell her. So, in the meantime, we're getting bigger and bigger. The bed's on fire. We'll go together. She ain't gonna kill us both. So. We go downstairs, like I said, her mom's doing the wash. Mom, we got a little issue. I know what she's thinking. They just barely went by. They couldn't be in trouble. The house on fire. Now, a lot of you knew our mother. She was this little small gal. But I wouldn't tell you, she said she had some horsepower. She grabbed a bucket of water. She comes upstairs. She throws it on the curtains, these big, tall windows. She grabs the feather deck mattress and throws it out the window. Fires out. You boys got to deal with Dad when he comes home because I don't know how to handle this one. Well, our father was strict. Oh boy, we've had that. Well, we could tell when our father's coming home because he'd come home in the wintertime with horses. You hear the tug chains rattling. Uh-oh, I can hear him coming. He's coming. My hindline's beginning to hurt already. So you know what happened? Comes in the house. How'd your day go today, Isla? Pretty good. Boys got a little trouble. What happened? Set the house on fire. Set the house on! So we, heart pounding like that. My father comes over there, of course we're expecting to be murdered. He says, did you boys learn anything? Yes, we did. All right then, he says, I'm not going to scold you. So that's the first lesson I remember of the ranch schoolhouse. Held right a match. But my brother Jim has helped me a lot of times since then, solve a lot of problems. So. That's my story I get to tell.
Well, I think that both of our families were some of the most fortunate people and young people that ever grew up in this town. We all grew up on a farm. We had to learn to work. And we had to learn to do a job and do it right the first time, or you did it over again. But the best part of it was that all the neighbors knew what was going on. And if you was foolish enough to get in trouble, they all knew about it almost immediately. And that wasn't a bad system. And I've got the utmost respect for their parents because they were two of as fine a people that ever lived in this town.
Thank you.
Versa.
Huh?
Thank you.
Versa.
They were great. Yours were too. Yours were too.
Well, here's a picture of my father at the Hatch School in 1914 and his classmates. 1914.
That's the District 13, which on the Hatchbrook Road.
Oh, Hatchbrook?
This one right here.
Oh, the tall,
Yeah.
pretty tall, yeah. Yeah. Pass this around.
Yes.
What about the curriculum stands out as you're remembering back? You know, the things that you studied.
Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
That's right. And they expected us to learn something. The first thing you learned was the sound of the letters. And then you learned the multiplication tables. And then you were able to comprehend something from then on. And I still think that was a pretty good system, and I wish it was taught now. And we did learn to write. I got to where people could almost read my writing. And now they don't even teach writing.
One teacher for 8 grades?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's very common in these.
That was not all bad either, because the younger students could listen to the other older students, and it was another way of learning. Very valuable to the younger students and very valuable in my opinion.
Or,
People have always questioned my opinion.
or you could do like maybe my brother Jim and I did when they had the test. I wonder what they wrote down over there.
So what were the other schools?
The other schools in town,
Yeah.
Collinsville,
Collinsville,
Hatchbrook School, the
Millville.
Branch School,
East Craftsbury.
East Craftsbury, Craftsbury Village and Craftsbury Common, Mill Village.
There was one out by Uri Road.
You're the one.
Yeah,
you're
the
on.
one.
What's the name of that brook?
Seaver Brook.
Seaverbrook. Seaverbrook. There may have been others. Like I said, there were 16 designated.
Was there one on the Creek Road?
Was there one going out the creek?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seaver Brook. Yeah,
Well,
Seaver Brook.
Seaver would be off that, yeah.
But wasn't there one on the crick end of that road? Over on the crick road end?
well, there may have been, but that's before our time.
Yeah.
You see, the school on the common had closed, the one that was our ag shop right beside the post office, had closed before 1950. And the branch school closed in 54, when school was up in 54. And the East Craftsbury School, I think, closed in 52, but I don't know that.
Before that.
Jim, the school on Seaver Branch, was that still up when you were a child?
Oh, yeah. That has been, that's just been recently torn down or moved in the last, actually, 5 or 6 years, 6 or 7 years. It was right there on the corner.
Yeah.
It was on the corner?
Yeah, but below the.
This is the branch school, and that Mrs. La Bombard, or whatever they called her. Didn't stay too long, according to Jim.
Are you in this
Bombard.
picture?
Do you all know anything about the little village that was burned down? Irvin Martin used to tell me about it. Up off of the,
The what that was burned down?
there's a little village up there, over where Seaver Branch Brook comes down, crosses 14. Up there.
I'm not familiar with that.
No, I don't know anything about it
But
either.
there was a school in there on the right-hand side, as you go
Yeah.
up that road, which was
Yeah,
glebe land. It still is glebe land. In other words, it's off the tax records because it was given to us by the Queen of England.
yeah,
So it's an acre of land in there that the school was sitting on. The foundation's still there.
all right.
I don't know a thing about that.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone could have liked me on that.
I
Glebe
thought
land.
that, I meant to
How many
get
school buildings they still
a
exist?
town diagram of the law.
District.
That shows all the designated laws.
Well, they exist as buildings.
There's one way up on
Yeah.
Cooper
Some
Hill,
of the
they
building,
never
half the
built
buildings
schools,
still
they never built them.
I can answer that by mentioning to all of you that one of the fattest files we have in our Historical Society are photographs of as many of the schools that I could find, and District 13 is buried in the woods so much, never found that to photo. But we've got photographs, we've got a photo collection as people give us things, like I think we've gotten things from you gentlemen already. Of various classes, and I've got a record of when the schools were started and when they closed. And so if this interests you at all, we have reports from district supervisors about the condition of the schools, and in some cases they're applauded, in other cases it's recommended that a few things be attended to, as were suggested by the Moffats there. But it's an ongoing collecting.
So there are still some buildings.
There are buildings, but they're in many cases private homes, or they've
The
been
one at
moved.
the bottom of the hill here, was that a one-room schoolhouse?
That was, yeah.
On the left?
That was the village.
That was the village school. And then going out towards Greensboro, on the right, up on the
There was two. That was
Greensboro,
upscale, yeah.
Craftsbury,
Probably has.
one that-
One has
Down
It's there, but it's not the original.
first and part of second.
So come on over and do some digging if you're curious about any of this.
It was just like Everitt said, I was watching the second grade.
Let's,
The North Wolcott School was a two-room school until 1937. Electric power came through North Wolcott and up to West of Bailey's Farm in 37. So the North Wolcott School was remodeled into a one-room school with electricity and vast slate blackboards. Clear across one end, the whole end of the building and up the west side. Beautiful, beautiful slate. And we had the same thing here in the academy. And I've got some of the slate now. There's nothing left. It's all been taken out. But I do have some of the slate.
I think,
Could you talk a little bit about when you were in high school? You said that the ag building was there. You had.
Yes, the ag building was the common elementary school until about maybe 46. I don't know exactly when it closed.
That's the art building.
So it's the building right beside the post office.
Yeah.
industrial arts building.
Did you have industrial arts?
Yeah, 53. See, Horace Strong was our first ag teacher in 52. Now, we had an FFA years before that, before Jimmy and I ever got here. Sometime, I don't even know when, but long before we got here. But then it was dropped. But in 53, we regained our charter, and we moved into that old school building for the ag building. And Herman Spring helped build an addition on it, and we had our shop downstairs. And we actually learned something in that shop.
In FFA, did you guys go to Eastern States and all that?
Everywhere we went, we won something.
Wow.
We won the State Parliamentary Procedures Contest in 56. I won second place Farm Mechanics Award in 56. $25, and I wasn't going to do anything about it because I didn't think I'd done anything very great. Well, Mr. Farrow said write it up anyway, and I did. So I got second place in the state. Made a lime saw. Out of an old Graham Page car rear end, and we used it quite a lot. We spread probably 10 ton of lime with it. Great deal better than spreading with a shovel.
Were you in FFA also?
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Bill Farr was your teacher at Everitt?
Great teacher right there.
I'd just like to take a moment to give credit to these poor ladies that tried so hard in these one-room schoolhouses. They did try to get in as much history and geography as they possibly could. So, and I do have some memories of the geography classes, and I've always been a history buff, especially the history stuck to me somewhat. So they tried. They didn't have much time, nor much in the way of equipment or manuals or anything like that. You know, a map, big map on the wall, a globe. A globe. That was about it. One of these spinning globes.
I was going to ask you about that. You know, we just had our library sale, and we have thousands and thousands of books. When you guys were in those schools, you probably had no such luxury of,
oh heavens,
you know.
No.
So what kind of materials and things did you have at school to work with and out of?
You'd have, I'll never forget, you know, your first grade reader, which was a standard Vermont school book, and a big lined notebook, and you were encouraged to not use much paper though. Remember, this was wartime, you know. This was, you were encouraged to use as little as possible, you know, write small and so forth. Oh yeah, the paper towels. There was a special class on how to wash your face. Well, I don't know what we washed our face with, but we could at least wash our hands, and the teacher would demonstrate how to not have to go for the second towel. You could get yourself completely dry. She showed us if you marshal your resources by using that one towel very, very carefully.
But you see, I fared better in North Wolcott than Jim and Andy did in the branch school. Because we actually had running water most of the year in the North Wolcott school. And the woodshed was between the school and the toilets. So when you went to the toilet, you brought some wood in. We had a big stove with a metal jacket, an insulated jacket around it that probably was 42 inches in diameter or more. And the stove was bigger than any furnace you would have had in the cellar. And Edward Miller was a janitor in 1952, and the stovepipe went through the wall into a beautiful chimney. Superb workmanship on that chimney that fascinated me all the time that I was there. And the workmanship in remodeling that school in 1937 was superb workmanship. But the stovepipe went through the wall. And he had such a fire going that he set the schoolhouse afire. And they lost it. They saved 5 of the big windows. We had double hung windows, counterbalanced with cast iron weights that were 2.5 inches in diameter and about 16 inches long. You slide either one of them windows up or down and they stay in place by those counterweights. The whole inside of the school was lined with Douglas fir plywood and Douglas fir panel doors. And we had a stage in the middle of the back part of the room. The stage was probably 20 inches above the floor, and we always had Valentine and Halloween and Christmas parties and box parties that the boys were talking about. We had them also.
Lord, you were upper crust.
Well, we were way ahead of you. But the water didn't run all the time, so Edward Miller and I used to go to Leon Miller's, where Winfred Moody lived, and get water when the water didn't run.
See, we had you beat there, because we didn't have running water. James and I used to have run down and get it every day.
That's right.
So we ran longer than yours did.
We did in the wintertime.
So Everitt, you mentioned the stove with the big jacket, protective jacket around it. I wonder, and I thought today, would that stove still be in Mitch's house down there? I wonder. And if so,
whose house?
Mitch Lanier, the branch school house.
I don't know about the branch. I don't know what they had for stove in that.
Well, I'm telling you, the same thing. Great big round, must have been 6 feet wide, the cowl, the outer cowl, and the stove on the inside.
It wouldn't have been 6, but it was probably more than 4.
Well, you know how people lie when they get older.
That's not a lie. That's a misremembrance.
I wonder if that wasn't, speaking of standard schools, I wonder if that wasn't the same furnace that was in all of the standard schools.
I expect it may have been.
And I wonder what make it was.
Sam Daniels.
I don't remember that.
Would have been Sam Daniels?
No, I don't think it was. There was a name on the outside of the jacket. The jacket was probably 8 inches from the stove. A circular jacket and a big wide door. The door was 2 feet wide or more and 4 feet high or more. And the jacket was up off the floor 20 inches or more and all open on top. And you got a good fire and it circulated very well. Heat circulated very well through that system. And you could, if the fire was tended to, you could stay warm all right.
Well, if you were sitting right next to it.
The idea of the jacket was like when Leo come and get Jim and I, he couldn't put us on the stove because that jacket would save us, you see.
Would he do that?
I knew him too.
How long was your school day?
12, 15 hours at least.
We started at 9:00 watch in the morning and got done at 4:00 watch at night.
9 to 4?
Yeah.
I didn't recall.
And how long a lunch break?
Half hour.
What'd you do at
And you'd
recess?
better be ready to close your dinner pail because school started again at 12:30.
Did you have recess?
Yes, we had recess.
We did have recess. The teacher had this little bell like you see on the desk, tap, tap, tap.
We had one in the morning, we had one in the afternoon,
I
didn't we?
think so, I do think so.
But you know,
You had to ask permission to go to the bathroom.
yes, that's right.
1 or 2. Very demeaning.
And that's why the ashes are so important.
Did anyone ever get spanked in school? Did anyone ever get spanked in school?
Nothing like you
I
do
went to school
nowadays.
in the 50s and I remember kids getting spanked by the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Spanked.
Kids
Oh,
getting
yeah.
spanked.
Corporal punishment.
Ruler.
A ruler.
A ruler on the back of the hand, oh, yeah.
I got it once or twice.
A day.
No, I learned faster than you may think I did.
That, in my opinion, wasn't a bad thing, because you know what? A little bingo in the hand once or twice, you smarten right up. Nowadays, the kid goes on and on, I ain't gonna do that, can't make me do that, I'm gonna call my attorney, I gotcha. You said something to me you shouldn't have said, I gotcha. Back then, you did something wrong, you knew you was gonna get the stick. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
I agree with that. And the last education I ever got from a bottom up was in 1952. It was up in the back field haying, and I was quite mean to my mother. And Dad stood it for a few minutes. Then he grabbed a 6-foot milking machine hose out of the back of the Jeep and tanned me in good shape. I didn't need a refresher course. I got the message the first time. It's the last time I ever got educated from that end up.
Jimmy, my brother Jimmy and I and our brother Larry, we were horsing around quite a lot. We were upstairs horsing around. Father Hull upstairs. All right, cut it out. We didn't. Pretty soon up he comes. We had a low stairway and hit his head on the top coming up. Changed his attitude. So he get us up there. Because Jim, my brother Randall, he got me. He gave me a good thumping. He said, I told you boys quit and you didn't. He said, well, I've got you here. I'm going to give you a couple extras because I know you did something I didn't catch yet.
When we first moved back down where we are now in 43, my brother and I did something, and we started running up in the pasture where Duff's shop is now. Dad followed us to the brook. He stopped. He said, you'll be back sometime. We did, and we still got our ass tanned.
How aware were you of world events? How did
Didn't need to know. What do we need to know about the world?
I know.
I didn't hardly know what a common was.
I know.
My first
That was kind of.
awareness of world events. I was playing on a pile of lumber, well, adjacent to where I live now, and someone came along. There may have been a carpenter there. We were overhauling the barn, doing something, and they said the war is over. So that I remember that very well.
And I do too.
Yeah.
We were putting in hay the day it was over. Dad went in the house to get a drink of water, and he came back out. He said, run up and tell the bakers the war is over. So I ran up, and they weren't home, so they didn't get that message that time.
Yeah.
But that was, I remember the whole of World War II. I remember Pearl Harbor. And I'm telling you that everybody in this country was affected one way or another, and every family. The salvage drives, toothpaste and shaving cream came in a pewter tube. You saved the pewter. Razor blades were taken back and remelted. Foils were taken back and restruck. Every piece of junk or aluminum or rubber tires or everything was salvaged.
Paper.
Cedar and spruce oil was made all they could make of it. We cut brush all summer of 44. Balsam and spruce brush that went to Wolcott across the river from Keneal Reed's house. O.B. LaFont had 5 tubs there. Run all the time, made all the oil they could. There was a half a dozen in Albany up on the creek road, all over everywhere. The cedar oil was used in insect repellent and disinfectant. The spruce and balsam, I don't know how it was used. They collected milkweed to use in life preservers. Collected balsam pitch. Balsam pitch was used to glue glass together to make prisms because it was the best adhesive that was known at that time. You punched a balsam blister and saved the pitch. And it was worth about $20 a gallon. They took quite a lot of it for a gallon.
Some of us guys when we were younger were loggers and had to peel pulp You know, pulpwood they use for paper? You had to peel pulp. Well, this balsa pitch he's talking about, when you got done, you stuck right to it and stick to your face.
Most of it was on you.
It was everywhere, you'd rub your face like that, balsa pitch behind it. Here come mosquitoes. They'd line right up, sting you like that. You couldn't get it because they stuck right to you. So,
And your pants, you got so stiff, they wouldn't even flex, they'd break.
so we had to peel this pulp before you could sell it. So after you peeled it, of course you lost some of the diameter thing. So you didn't gain a thing because you lost your volume. But they wouldn't take it unless it was peeled. So he and I, Everitt, we peeled the sticker pulp or two.
And that was only part of it. You had to re-knot it. You cut the knots off before you peeled it as close as you could. Then you had to knock them off again because they wanted the pulp smooth. And you got $3 a cord more for peeled pulp than you did rough pulp. And you lost about $5 in volume.
I never could convince my father of that.
Didn't take us long to figure it out.
Must have been that public school there.
Where did the pulp go?
Sheldon Springs.
Yes, I think it probably did all of the time at that time.
They had a...
Merle Hatch was the buyer. And Merle Hatch is in this picture that I just sent around with Dad in the school. And Merle used to beat Dad up every day for about a year and a half. Well, one day Dad was over at Merle's farm and got him bent over a ladder and hammered the hell out of him. And that was the end of that. When he got on the receiving end of it, he decided that was not anywhere near as much fun as he thought it was when Dad was on the receiving end of it.
Thus the name Hatchbrook Road, because that's...
And they never had another dispute in their life.
It was on up there, that's where the town owns that now. We call it the Webster Law. So prior to that, it was the Hatch farm.
So in '52, I cut about 7 cord of pulpwood in 4 different species. And Merle bought that pulp, and I bought a Craftsbury lathe and a jigsaw. And I still have them both, and I still use them anytime I want to.
Yes, sir.
$114, that bunch of pulp, 4 different species. He didn't make any money on that because he had to take it different places before he could get a load. But he paid us for it just the same.
So what did things cost back then? What did it cost for gasoline? What did it cost for a gallon of milk?
Gasoline during the war was 20 cents a gallon during the war.
I can tell you a little story about that gasoline right there. Williams boys, Bobby, Eddie, Jimmy and I, they had a 39 4-door Ford convertible, our neighbors Williamses. So we asked Louie, can we borrow the car to go to Mooresville Drive-In? Yep. So we went to the drive-in, didn't have any money. Of course, we got in the show, we had to have a little money for cigarettes. You didn't hear that. We got done, headed home. If you remember, we went to drive-in through, it said Mooresville right lane, Hadwick left. Headed out of there, car ran out of gas. 4 boys, we scrounged up 17 cents between 4 of us. There was a can in the back of the car. We walked to the filling station and we got some gas, but I think it was a little bit more than 17 cents, but the guy gave us the gallon.
Felt sorry for us.
So we got home. Louie the next morning took the car to go up to the other farm to do chores because we ran out of gas. He said, I don't mind you boys borrowing my car, but I kind of wish you'd put a little gas in it.
Yeah, well, we did.
Put a little gas in it.
Well, of course, we all remember Pepsi Cola, which we all loved. It was a big